Welcome dear students. Today we are going to discuss the lesson from your Momin's book, A House is Not a Home, written by Zan Budioso. As you can see, she is the writer. Okay, so let us see the explanation line by line. But before we begin, it is said, fill a house with love and it becomes a home. So there's a difference between a house and a home, and we have discussed in the class also how is it. A home is where the family is, where the members are, whereas house is made up of bricks. Okay, so we have discussed about this earlier. Let us go with the explanation line by line. My first year of high school felt awkward. He was in high school, that means he was in class 11th and 12th. After leaving junior high at the head of my class, with all the seniority the upper grade levels could afford me, it felt strange starting over as a freshman because he has to start in a new place, in a new school, and everything was strange. The school was was twice as big as my old school, and to make matters worse, my closest friends were sent to a different high school. I felt very isolated. He felt as if he has been left about. I missed my old teachers so much that I would go back and visit them. They would encourage me to get involved in the school activities so that I could meet new people. So teachers were encouraging him that go and see those people. They told me that in time I would adjust and probably end up loving my new school more than I had my old one. We all take our time. We have this problem of inertia, that we are into the phase. We don't want to accept new changes. This was the problem with this boy. They made me promise that when that happened, I would still come by and visit them from time to time. I understood the psychology in what they were saying, but I took some comfort in it nonetheless. He was understanding what the teachers were trying to say, their psychology, but he was not very comfortable about what they were saying. One Sunday afternoon, not long after I had started high school, I was sitting at home at a dining room table doing homework. So Sunday afternoon after the church, he was sitting there and he was doing his homework in the dining room. It was a cold and windy fall day, and we had a fire going in our fireplace. As usual, my red tabby cat was lying on top of all the papers, purring loudly and occasionally swatting at the pen for entertainment's sake. So as you can see, this is a tabby cat. This is a red tabby cat that was there with him, the pet cat. She was on papers, purring, that is making noises, and she was swatting at the pen, hitting at the pen just for the sake of entertainment. Okay, she was never far from me. I had rescued her when she was a kitten, and somehow she knew that I was the one responsible for giving her the good life. So she was a very cute character, and he was very attached to her. My mother kept stoking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. Suddenly I smelled something strange. Then I noticed smoke pouring in through the seams of the ceiling. Then he noticed that there was smoke that was coming. The smoke began to fill the room so quickly that we could barely see. Groping our way to the front door, managing the way to the front door, we all ran out of the front yard. By the time we made our way outside, the whole roof was engulfed in fire, as you can see. Okay, there was a massive fire that had taken place, and it was spreading quickly. I ran to the neighbors to call the fire department while I watched my mother run back into the house. Now, why did the mother go back? This is one of the very important questions in the chapter. My mother then ran out of the house carrying a small metal box full of important documents. She dropped the case on the lawn and in like a mad state, ran back into the house. I knew what she was after. My father had died when I was young, and I was certain that she was not going to let his pictures and letters go up in the flames. They were the only things that she had to remember him by. Still, I screamed at her, Mom, no. He knew the situation, that his father was not there, the letters and the memories were there, and he did not want her to go back again because the things were not in their favor. As you can see, there's a massive fire, there's a fire department, there's a picture from your book. I was about to run after her when I felt a large hand hold me back. A fireman, you can see here the boy it was a fireman. I hadn't even noticed that the street had already filled with fire trucks. I was trying to free myself from his grasp, yelling, "You don't understand, my mother's in there." So he was shouting at the man, "Leave me, my mother is there." He held on to me while other firefighters ran into the house. He knew that I wasn't acting very logically, and that if he were to let go, I'll run. He was right. He knew, this man, that if he is going to let this boy, he's going to run inside. He says, "It's all right, they'll get her," he said. He wrapped a blanket round me and sat me down in a car. Why a blanket? It was a windy fall day and they were having fire at home, so they were not feeling very cold inside, but outside there was cold. Soon after that, a fireman emerged from her house with my mother in tow. Tow, that is carrying her. He quickly took her over to the truck and put an oxygen mask on her. I ran over and hugged her. All those times I had argued with her and hated her vanished at the thought of losing her. So now he was about to lose his mother. So he has almost started thinking about her. She's going to be okay, said the fireman. She just inhaled a little smoke. Because the oxygen level in the body has dropped because of the smoke, that is why she fainted, and that is why this mask was put on her, oxygen mask. And then he ran back to fight the fire while my mother and I sat there dazed, don't know what to do. I remember watching my house burn down and thinking that there was nothing I could do about it. Okay, so they could do nothing. 5 hours later, the fire was finally out. Our house was almost completely burned down. But then it struck me, I hadn't seen my cat. Where was my cat? Much to my horror, I realized that she was nowhere to be found. Then all at once it hit me. The new school, the fire, my cat. I broke down in tears and cried and cried. I was suffering loss big time. He had a big loss in his life because all the things were happening suddenly and all together. The fireman wouldn't let us go back into the house that night. It was still too dangerous. Dead or alive, I couldn't imagine leaving without knowing about my cat. Regardless, I had to go. He wanted to know about his cat. Where was she? We piled into the car with just the clothes on our backs and few of the fireman's blankets and made our way to my grandparents' house to spend the night. The next day, Monday, it was Sunday when this fire broke out, I went to school. When the fire broke out, I was wearing the dress I had worn to the church that morning, but I had no shoes. I had kicked them off, and when I was doing my homework, they became yet another casualty of the fire. Casualty, a victim. Because of the fire, the shoes were also burnt away. So I had to borrow some tennis shoes from my aunt. Why couldn't I just stay home from school? My mother wouldn't hear of it, but I was totally embarrassed by everything. So imagine if you don't have your proper clothes and proper uniform, you feel very embarrassed. The clothes I was wearing looked weird. I had no books or homework, and my backpack was gone. I had my life in that backpack. The more I tried to fit in, the worse it got. Was I destined to be an outcast and a G called my life? So he was feeling very low. And it happens that whenever we also feel sad, we feel that the whole world is after us. That's what it felt like. I didn't want to grow up, change, or have to handle life. If it was going to be this way. I just wanted to curl up and die. He felt like dying because this was not what he was expecting. I walked around the school like a zombie. A zombie is an alien-like creature, so he was feeling like he's a zombie. Everything felt surreal, something which is not real, fictitious. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen. All the security I had known from my old school, my friends, my house, my cat had been ripped away, as if you have taken away everything from one person. When I walked through what used to be our house after school that day, I was shocked to see how much damage there was. Whatever hadn't burnt was destroyed by the water and chemicals they had used to put out the fire. This happens when there's a fire, they put those harmful, harsh chemicals, so everything was destroyed. The only material things not destroyed were the photo albums, documents, and some other personal items that my mother had managed to heroically rescue. But my cat was gone, and my heart ached for her. The cat was his life. There was no time to grieve. My mother rushed me out of the house. We would have to find a place to live, and I would have to buy some clothes for school. We had to borrow money from my grandparents because there were no credit cards, cash, or even any identification to be able to withdraw money from the bank, because all was burned down and you need to get them again. Everything had gone up in the smoke. That week that rubble used to be our house was being cleared of the lot. Even though we had rented an apartment nearby, I would go over to watch them clear away debris. Debris is the dead decaying remains of plants and animals. He was thinking about his cat. Hoping that my cat was somewhere to be found, she was gone. I kept thinking about her as that vulnerable little kitten, that cute character, vulnerable, which became a victim, easily victimized. In the early morning when would disturb her and get out of the bed, she would tag along after me, climb up my robe and crawl into my pocket to fall asleep. I was missing her terribly. He was missing the cat a lot. Okay. It always seems that bad news spreads quickly, and in my case it was no different. Everyone in high school, including the teachers, was aware of my plight. Everybody was knowing what is going on, his bad condition. I was embarrassed as if somehow I were responsible. What a way to start off a new school. This was not the kind of attention I was looking for. He was not thinking this will happen. The next day at school, people were acting even more strange than usual. I was getting ready for gym class at my locker. People were miling around me. They were coming around, asking me to hurry up. I live as if पता नहीं क्या होने वाला है, so he is very worried. I thought it strange, but in the light of the past few weeks, nothing would surprise me. It almost seemed that they were trying to shove me into the gym. They were trying to push him. Then I saw why. There was a big table set up with all kinds of stuff on it just for me. They had taken a collection and bought me school supplies, notebooks, all kinds of clothes, jeans, top, sweatshirt. It was like Christmas. So finally he got something which was a surprise. Everybody has brought certain amount of gifts for him, and it was like Christmas for him. I was overcome by emotion. People who had never spoken to me before were coming up to me to introduce themselves. I got all kinds of invitation to their houses. The genuine outpouring of concern really touched me. In that instant, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and thought that the first time the things were going to be okay. I made friends that day. So after so much of struggle and so many bad things, things were turning. As we say, every night has a day. So everything comes to an end and there's a new beginning. A month later, I was at my home watching them rebuild it, but this time it was different. I wasn't alone. I was with two of my new friends from school. It took a fire for me to stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up to all the wonderful people around me. Now I was sitting there watching my house being rebuilt when I realized my life was doing the same thing. So everything was coming to normal. While we sat there on the curb, that is the roadside platform, planning my new bedroom, I heard someone walk up from behind me saying, "Does this belong to you?" When I turned around to see who it was, I couldn't believe my eyes. A woman was standing there holding my cat. Finally, the cat is also back. I leapt up and grabbed her out of the woman's arm. I held her close to me and cried into the beautiful orange fur. She purred happily. My friends were hugging me, hugging the cat, and jumping around. Everybody was very happy. Apparently, my cat had been so freaked by the fire, so afraid of the fire, that she ran over a mile away. Her collar had her phone number on it, but her phones had been destroyed and disconnected. This wonderful woman took her and worked hard to find out whose cat it was. Somehow she knew that this cat was loved and sorely missed. As I sat there with my friends and my cat curled up in my lap, all the overwhelming feelings of loss and tragedy seemed to diminish. So he was having a good time now. I felt gratitude for my life, happiness for the life, my friends, the kindness of a stranger, and the loud purr of my beloved cat. My cat was back, and so was I. He had not gone anywhere, but physically he was there. Mentally, and emotionally, he was very disturbed. But now everything was okay. Okay, so this is the cat that comes back to him, and he is enjoying life again. I hope you like this explanation. Thank you, children.